And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. So today we're talking about the Washington Commanders and if they were in fact dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I was checking out this article on Commanders Wire, and I thought it was pretty interesting because I guess there is this kind of debate as to whether the Washington Commanders really just lost in the fourth quarter or were they absolutely dominated by the Eagles. And so one of the points that this article brings up is that the Eagles drove 87, 74, 76, 74, and 46 yards in 5 consecutive possessions, and talked about how the Eagles really dominated the Commanders. And that was the story of the night. And that's why Dan Quinn decided to go for it on 4th and 2. And so look, looking at this game, I don't know if I could say that they manhandled the Commanders necessarily because, look, the point totals were there. I think defensively, the Commanders made enough plays and gave the ball to their offense. We just were uncharacteristic out there. And give the Eagles credit because defensively, if you would have told me that Terry McLaurin was just going to have one catch in this game and Zacchaeus or Noah Brown and those guys like that just weren't going to make a whole bunch of plays, I just wouldn't have believed that. And so I've got to give the Eagles defense a lot of credit. I think that if we're talking about dominating, I think it's the Eagles secondary that dominated because I think that there were plays to be had. And for them to take away the Washington Commanders wide receivers, like even when we struggled just kind of running the football, I think against the Bears and things like that, like we were still able to go down the field and we weren't able to do that. And so I think that that's probably where the real dominance was. And I will give the Eagles credit offensively. And I think that that really came down to when the defense continued to be on the field and we didn't have a lead. I think that that's where it got tough for the Washington Commanders because, look, Saquon Barkley is going to get his. If he continues to run the football like he was doing, it's going to wear down any defense. And so I think that I talked about how the Eagles won the time of possession. They just wore down the Commanders' defense. And so I don't know if they necessarily dominated on the offensive end. And we knew, too, going into this that one of the weaknesses for the Commanders is just that they're not very good stopping the ground attack. Like they're just not. But they did a great job as far as getting sacks. No, we didn't generate a turnover out there like we could have or should have. But we also took away their wide receivers as well. So I think that there are some pluses there for us. So I don't think, or I disagree with this, that we completely got dominated. I do think that this did come down to the fourth quarter because when you have a guy that goes out there and he scores in 23 seconds, I think back-to-back touchdowns like that, I don't know how you come back from that, being the Commanders. And so I think that that really was the story of the game. I'm not sure if I'm buying necessarily the dominance. And I think that defensively for them too, they took the Commanders out of their identity. And so taking away the Terry McLaurin and what we had down the field was one thing. But then also, too, Brian Robinson Jr., he did have a touchdown, but he only had 63 yards. We also didn't have any running from Jaden Daniels. Like, I think that the Eagles, nobody's talking about how good the Eagles were as far as limiting the runs that Jaden Daniels had. They took away a lot of those plays. And so in a lot of ways, man, they made our offense really one-dimensional. And I think that that is really the key story of this game, not necessarily that the Eagles offense dominated the Washington Commanders defense, because the defense is actually I think it even played even better. The secondary, for the most part, held up. You just can't keep them on the field like that and you don't score points. And we know that the Eagles start off slow. This could have been a totally different football game if the offense was able to just put up points like they had been doing. And so I'm not going to say that this is all on the offense. And it's not solely on the defense. Like as a team, it just didn't work. And so anyhow, these are my thoughts here. I just think that the Commanders just did not get dominated Let me know in the comments what you are thinking. We're going to be talking some more about the Washington Commanders' loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to be looking at some grades of cornerbacks, offensive linemen, things like that on this next show. So anyhow, this is Washington Commanders Insider. We'll be talking a little bit more, breaking down this loss on the next one. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.